Thank you. Well, here we are, C-Suite Network Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. Oh my goodness. I say that fast because we have got a speaker today that we want to get right to hearing from Liz Luckett. Oh, we're so lucky. Liz, I'm going to use an old saying that I'm sure you've heard many times is we are so lucky to be in your orbit and yours in ours as well. So welcome to our council, our newest esteemed faculty member council. Very, very thrilled that you're here. And Liz is going to be bringing some very powerful distinctions for us to have our voice be heard in the world. And Liz, I'm so intrigued by how you do that, but we'll jump into that in a moment. I'm Kathleen Caldwell, founder of this very fine council. We are growing. So that means great opportunities for each of us to do more collaboration, co-acceleration, and to be able to express and promote the things we love. And to have the world, hello, amplify our voice so that people know us, like us, trust us, and hire us. Okay. And so big shout out to Sheila Anderson. Oh my goodness, her program last Thursday. You know, we're doing programs every Thursday because we can, we will, and we should. Her program was fantastic about how to develop our perseverance. I don't know about you, but there are times in life and business that things are difficult. And if it was always easy, sunshine and rainbows and unicorns, I guess it wouldn't be so much fun. Okay. So Sheila led a great program, a great discussion about how to build and supercharge our perseverance. Be sure to watch the replay on our YouTube channel. And by the way, we are now in process to have our 143 videos, our 143 presentations from all of you now amplified and accelerated over on the C-Suite Network site. So we're doing some beautiful cross promotion. We've got so much gorgeous stuff there, content and beautiful thought leadership from you. So you're going to be able to see more and more and more. We're going to do kind of some recaps, going back to some of our oldies but goodies in our videos. So we're going to be really doing much more amplification. Thank you to C-Suite Network. So I'd love to just turn the podium over to you, Liz. So welcome, everyone. Let's lean in and give Liz a little sparkle finger here. Yes, yeah, exactly. Liz Luckett is our guest, newest esteemed faculty member speaker today. She is the founder of Xpressly Speaking. And I'll tell you, go to her website when we're done with our program today. It is the most gorgeous site. You're going to be so impressed with all the beautiful graphics that represent you as a speaker. And you have coaching and mentoring programs. You bring your programs into corporate. You're a global speaker on stages, whether they're virtual or in person or both. And you've got all kinds of great programs and poetry and neat things. So we have the great delight to welcome you to our global stage, Liz. And I'd like to turn the podium over to you to talk about how do we amplify our voice for greater impact. So with that, do me a favor. Let's all get in. Let's unmute ourselves and give Liz a very warm welcome into the C-Suite Network Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. Thank you, Liz. Turning the podium over to you. Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you,
Liz. Hey.
Thank you so very much to everyone. So I always start, I do a small business class, and I always start the small business class this way. I'm going to start it the same way today. So I always say you can plan for 5,000 things and 4,099 can go wrong. So if only 2 things went wrong, you're good. You got 4,998 to go.
Absolutely.
I tell myself that because technology is always one of the things that goes wrong. So if you only got 2 or 3, you're good. You got like 4,997 to go. So I am going to share my screen. All right. Can everyone see that?
You certainly can, Liz. Yes, thank you.
All right. So again, I'm super excited to be here on today with all you beautiful women. And again, as I always say, let's take a couple of deep breaths and we're going to dive right in. So take a deep breath in. Let it go. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. 2 more. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. 1 more. Take a deep breath in. And let it go. I always start my presentations like that because I want to make sure that I'm setting the tone, play on words, and the atmosphere for what we're going to talk about today. So amplify your voice for a global impact. I am what's called a spoken word artist, which means I do poetry and things like that. So I'm always looking for the definition of words. So we're going to see a lot of definition as we go in. You are free. I wanted to save the questions to the end, but I'm really okay if you want to jump in the chat. That's perfectly fine as we walk through this presentation of amplifying your voice. So welcome to Amplifying Your Voice for Global Impact. We're going to explore the significance of your voice and the impact of words on communication. And as we're going through this presentation, I want you to think figuratively, metaphorically, as well as literally. So I'm trying to engage everybody, no matter where you are in your thought process. If you're creative like me, if you're analytical, we're going to engage all of our brain, okay? And just kind of take a look at the images that I have here on the screen. I'm going to see if I can hide this. I don't know if you can see that, but take a look at the images that you see on the screen and just kind of put in the chat what emotions these images evoke in you as you're just looking at the images before we even get into the PowerPoint.
Did you move off the introduction sheet?
I'm sorry?
Did you move off the introduction sheet, or is that what you have us looking at where it says words have power?
Yes, words have powers, and then right above that, there are images. And so I want you to look at those images before we even dive into the PowerPoint. Do they evoke any emotions? What do they make you think? When you hear the words have power, what do you think about that? And just drop in the chat the first thing that comes to mind. And then Kathleen, if you can I can't see the chat. Oh, yes, I can.
Very good. Yes, thank you. So, Liz, what our sisters are saying is different ideas and points of view. People
Yeah.
have a lot of thoughts, inner thoughts, imagination, diversity. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to get right in and see if any of that comes up. So now I thought about the word amplify. It means to increase the amount of whatever you're amplifying. And so when you look at this image, and again, because I'm a visionary, images are very important to me. You have plus 11,000, you have all these frequencies. So when you're thinking about amplifying your voice or amplifying the area that you're in, because you set the tone, when you go to an area, you should set that environment. And you're always going to go in there with the mindset that you are going to increase whatever you're a part of. And that's what your voice does. It increases that. So think about that as we walk through this presentation. What is voice? We hear it so many times, but really, what is voice? And again, drop in the chat. When you hear the word voice, what is it? We have all these images, frequency, and all of this stuff. And we have someone at a microphone. We have a person with a megaphone screaming into something, a mouth. So what is voice? And just drop in the chat. When you hear the word voice, what is it? Okay, I'm going to let that marinate for a minute.
Great visuals, Liz. And the chat, we're getting chat about sound and authentic and connection and dialogue and point of view and sounds. Form a connection. Yeah, beautiful.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. So when you think about voice in the text of communication, you have and again, I believe in imagery. So you think about this young lady here, she has her hand on her throat, there's a microphone behind her, and her eyes are closed. So when you think about that voice in the context of communication, your voice is your unique perspective, your experiences, your values, and beliefs expressed through words. It reflects who you are and what you stand for. So my question is your voice really your voice? And I ask that because a lot of times when I do presentations, I talk to people, it's nothing wrong with hearing other person's points of view, but it's very important that you do stay authentic to yourself. And I hear a lot of cliches and all those things, but have you really discovered the power of your unique voice? How powerful the perspectives that you have bring to whatever you're going to do, whether it's a presentation, through your family, your authentic voice. Is it really your voice? That's the first thing that I tell anybody, whether you're going in business, whether you're going to do a presentation, you have to come from the perspective of, is it your dream? Is it your voice? Are you doing this because that's what you want to do? Or are we just repeating all of these cliches and sounds and words, and they sound really beautiful, but they're not authentically who we are? And so when you amplify your voice, the whole purpose of that is that you're amplifying your voice, not someone else's. Your voice, your lived experiences, your lived dreams, everything that's uniquely you. Are you amplifying that? And are you okay with that? Have you thought about that? Have you listened? And we're going to talk about this later in the slide, but is it really your voice? Are you really coming from a place of where you've lived and dreamed and moved and thought, and then you take all of those experiences and you give it back to the world on a global level? And so again, I love books. I love listening to other people, but I've been very intentional about making sure that I'm okay with Liz and her voice. Now, my voice naturally, so remember I said figuratively and literally, is very deep. I have a deep voice, right? And there are times where I'm like, oh my gosh, had people say, sir. I'm like, not a sir. I'm a ma'am. But just being okay with that, however the sound that emits from your voice comes out, embrace it and be okay with that. And so now I've come to accept that my voice isn't deep, it's sultry. So it's sultry. So I'm okay with that now. Let's go to the next slide. So I love these images again. So you see this lady just screaming, right? She's just screaming. I don't know what's in her that's pulling up from the outside, but she's letting it out. So voice, again, by definition, is the sound or sounds uttered through the mouth of living creatures, especially of human beings, in speaking, shouting, and singing. It's an instrument played skillfully with words. So your voice is actually an instrument that you play skillfully with your words. Literally, your voice is a sound coming out of your mouth. Metaphorically, voice can also mean the way people express themselves. So when you think about voice and you think about sound and all of this, when I thought about Amplify, you can't think about all this without music, right? So your voice is an instrument that you skillfully play. And have you thought about the instrument that you're playing and the words and the choices that you allow to come out of your mouth, how they fall on the ears of those that hear it? Have we thought about that? And then we're going to add words to that, but it's an instrument that is played skillfully in your environment. The things that you've gone through, your experiences have all played into that. Now, when I was younger, I played the cello. I played the cello. I played the cello. And the cello is this deep, beautiful, resonating sound that comes out of the instrument. So when I think about that, what does your voice sound like? And I don't mean like I was talking about how deep, but what is the sound that you are emitting as you speak? I think as speakers that we have to be intentionally thoughtful about that. What sound are we truly emitting when we speak? I'm going to pause there. Is that resonating?
Oh, Liz, I will definitely I am so resonating with what you're saying. I was a cello player too in my early days. Yeah, and the flute. And I'm just harmonizing with you here. I'm wondering what else. Sonia, what are your points of view? Christina, Susan, all of our ladies that are joining us, jump in. And if you
Yeah,
want to, maybe we could pause the screen, Liz?
Yep.
So Liz, one of the things that I remember like about 30 years ago, I attended I live in Southern California. So, we're always open into looking at new people and new ways of doing. And they invited me to this event at somebody's home where the gentleman was supposed to be doing, he was a opera singer professionally. And he was there to share with us about what he calls sound, color, and vibration.
Mm.
And it was all about learning about what we emit kind of thing. And so he did an exercise around the room with different people. And one of the things that he was able to show us, and the people, it wasn't like done ahead of time, but basically it was like when you were speaking from your own voice, something changed in your own frequency in how you did things.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. But anyway, sorry about my phone. But anyway, it was like something that I looked at it and I went, oh my God, I need to be aware of that.
Yes.
Because then I'm aware if I'm like, my voice is high, what does that mean? When it's low, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go on mute because it was like,
I love it. I love it. I love it because again, and when I do that, I always listen like where, if I'm feeling an emotion or something for something I've said or heard, where in my body am I feeling that? Is it in my stomach? Is it in my chest? Like you have to be very cognizant of the feelings that the words that you hear and that you allow to reside in your ears. What are you feeling in your body? I love that. Someone else. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Liz, I love this because one of the things that just from my study and education perspective is that is about the sound of truth
Mm.
and what truth sounds like.
Oh my gosh.
And I've been studying and practicing and listening and doing listening exercises specifically around um, listening to the sound of your own voice and listening to the sound of others' voices and being able to actually recognize the sound of truth has a purity to it.
Yes.
And we all know what truth sounds like when
Yeah.
we hear it. And what's interesting is that language is very, very limiting in terms of describing the sound. And that's what I also find very interesting about voice and sound is that it's very difficult to describe
Yes.
that purity and the sound of truth. It's just one of those things that us as human beings, if we're really listening to it, we recognize it like instantly. And so yeah, so what I've been learning definitely what you're saying as just a wonderful added kind of dimension to something that I've learned in my study.
I love that. I love that. And then as you're thinking, so now that now that we're aware of that, because there's an power in awareness. So when people are listening to you as you're amplifying, speaking, what are they thinking? Are they feeling the words that you're saying? And if they're your words, they'll feel them. But if they're someone else's words, you can't really give that impact, that power like you want. Susan, I see your hand.
You know, one of the things, because I'm trained in bodywork and structural integration, and one of the exercises when we work around the throat and neck is noticing that you will tell someone they may not be able to hold back on things they have been holding back inside of them. And you will hear in a tonal difference when they have held back something, you know, that the voice is letting you know that they are not speaking everything they feel, everything they believe. For whatever reason they are feeling it needs to be contained and not shared. And when they understand that part of that is held in muscle memory, that understanding that we can hear that muscle memory is dramatic when you are sitting in a conversation with someone and you recognize, much as Christina was talking about hearing the truth, it's hearing what they're afraid that they cannot share because it won't be heard as they wish it would be.
That is so powerful. And that's why I always ask, is it really your voice? Because what do? If we're afraid to share our voice, we'll adopt someone else's. I'll just borrow yours. And you can't do that. But if you're trained, if you're really listening to, and we have some exercise in this later on where we talk about that, then you'll be able to connect and know to bring your sister out. Like, you can use your voice. It's okay. But again, that fear of, well, I don't know how people are going to perceive me. So we're going to go later in the slide, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. So express, which is how I came up with the name Xpressly Speaking, to represent in words or to state. So again, we're thinking not just literally, but we're using all of the emotions and all the thought processes to make known the opinions or feelings of oneself, to give expression or creative impulse of. I'm trying to hide I'm gonna move it. To the artistic or creative impulses or abilities of oneself, to give or convey a true impression of, to show or reflect, to represent by a sign or a symbol. And I think that's a little bit of what Susan was talking about, some of those things, to symbolize, delineate, depict, to send by express, to force out something such as the juice of a fruit by pressure. And so how many times have your lives sometimes been pressed out, and things that you've gone through have really just, when you speak from that power because you know what it's like, you know what that pressure is like. And so that young lady that was screaming, what happened that pressed her to the place where she had to just scream and let it out? Or there's suppress, where we don't say it. And I think that's what Susan was talking about. To force out, we're talking about to subject to pressure so as to extract or to pull out. So we're pulling all of that out. So when we're speaking, are we pulling out of people? Are we pulling something that's out of them as we're amplifying our voices? To cause, and I like this, a gene to manifest itself in the phenotype also, to manifest or produce character, a molecule or effect by genetic process. And that's the imagination, the things that you imagine in your mind and you think it, and then it becomes a reality. You actually create what you think in your mind. And so you have to speak it out of your voice so that it does become a reality. So when you think about express, and again, it's a shameless plug, but that's how I came up with the name for Xpressly Speaking, because we got to get it out. We got to get it out. So your voice, again, I don't know if you guys are seeing me moving this back and forth, but that's okay.
We are tracking with you, Liz.
Huh?
We're tracking with you, and we are leaning in, lady. We are loving it.
Okay, great. So, and you got to be okay. Like, I'm so okay with Liz, making mistakes and just being honest about what I know and don't know. So it's like, it's okay. We'll be okay. Barriers to amplifying your voice. So again, identify common barriers. These are just a few that hinder individuals from finding their voice. Fear of judgment. Again, fear of, I could have just said, well, you know what? I don't know how to move these images. I can't hide them. So I don't want to do the PowerPoint. But you know what? If you guys see my flaws, it's okay because we all have them. But sometimes we have that fear of judgment. What are people going to say? What are they going to think? But everybody, when you release yourself to understand that nobody is perfect, it is so freeing. And when you accept your own imperfections, it's freeing. It really is. Self-doubt, that creeps up a lot in women. Like, we are so powerful, but yet we doubt ourselves. It creeps up on us. Lack of confidence, cultural and societal norms. Let's kind of have a conversation about that. When you hear that, cultural and societal norms, what comes to mind?
Well, Liz, I'll jump in because I really am using my imagination and futurizing what you're talking about here, because women in the boardroom, especially, and women all in corporate environments, and all, just being able to express themselves and be able to break free from the norms that have maybe held them back to expressing their true nature, for wanting to fit in, wanting to get the promotion, wanting to fit into the cultural norms of the corporation.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering about, what I believe for sure is that your programs and your point of view on this are so needed, especially in corporate, to help women break free. Because I think that, I'll just also mention that amplifying our voices for global impact it also means that we get an opportunity to act differently and look differently and dress differently and be
Yes.
differently, right? It's
Yes.
such a metaphor, as you said at the
Yes.
beginning.
Yes, I agree. So when I was in corporate America, I had a lady that was my mentor, and she said in order for her to succeed and get to where she wanted to go, she had to turn herself into an old white man, because she knew that as a white woman or African American or a woman, period, she wouldn't. So she had to adapt that. And why? Susan, I see your hand. I mean, agreed though.
You know, and part of it is also, as the world is more global,
Mm-hmm.
also have to look at the society where somebody lives may take things on in a completely different way than we do. And I know that there have been times when I've been in a conversation with somebody from Europe and somebody from Canada and somebody from the USA, and we could really talk about cultural differences that were subtle but still there.
Yeah.
And how were we hearing things differently because of where we lived and what was the normal, quote unquote, standard for where that was.
But Liz,
Absolutely.
Liz, I
Yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
ask something and potentially share an example. I think that when we actually really are using our own voice, even in corporate America, we can be taken very seriously.
Mm.
I worked in corporate America for 16 years in technology as a woman, and I never felt like I needed to be like a white man, ever. And I think I got my success and my support because I wasn't trying to play anything else. So they either had to meet me in my level or not. But the story I want to share is I was doing a project for Netflix a year ago, a couple of years ago, and I was just gathering information, doing a 360, and this one particular woman had come in. She'd been there like about a year, and she was, if you will, in meetings with the C-suite level, and there was some pushback about the way that she was coming across. And when I was delivering the feedback to her, she said, I purposely do that. I want to push their buttons because I want to see them what they'll do, because I think that will change the game. And you know what? She got promoted 6 months later. So it was like she was able to find her voice in a way. So I guess what I'm saying is I believe in getting rid of myths. And
Yes.
if you actually stay close to what is true to you, in
Yes.
her case, what was true to her was she knew the game she was playing, and she knew to push certain ways that she figured, I'm going to get your number. I'm going to see what's really all about.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I definitely agree with that wholeheartedly, because sometimes, again, the example that I gave, now eventually she came out and became herself, but sometimes we have this image of what success or something looks like, so we try to fit ourselves into that image. You can't sustain that. It's just, you can't. You can't sustain it. Eventually who you are has to come out. And so I do agree with you on that you do have to be your authentic self, because it's just like there's just, I'm a spiritual person, but there's a story in the Bible where David and Goliath, and Saul gave David his armor, but it was just too heavy for him. He's like, let me just take a slingshot and fives. I'm familiar with that. Let me just take a slingshot, a couple of stones, I can work with that. But sometimes we mold ourselves into this image of what we think that society says this is what success looks like. And so we try to conform to that, like everyone said, and it doesn't work, because eventually you cannot keep pretending. You have to be your authentic self. And then the last one is past experiences. Everything that we've gone through in life, everything, all of us have something in life that we may hear a song, or we may smell something, or something that brings us back to a moment in life. But what I believe is that those things that you survived, those things that you made it through, that you don't look back and say, oh, why did I go through that? What did you learn from that? And so I shift my mindset. So that I don't become captive to that anymore. But your past experiences, if you allow it to, can become a barrier because you're embarrassed, or, whatever happened. But everybody's going through something. Everybody has. And so you have to release yourself to be okay with whatever happened in your past, and understand that that is part of who you are, part of your making, because if you learn from it. So yeah, great conversation. Just watching the time. Okay, we're good. Overcoming barriers. So I'll go through this one really quick. Strategies to overcome barriers and find your voice. You all said it. Practice self-awareness, challenge limiting beliefs, surround yourself with supportive people, embrace vulnerability, take small steps outside your comfort zone. Like, don't just jump out there because the fear is going to push you back in there. Like, oh, small steps. Okay, I survived that. Or if you're the personality, it's like, I'm just going to jump out there, I'm okay. But again, just really getting used to that, to overcoming those barriers. Tone and volume. So again, vocal, and we talked about this, vocal or musical sound of a specific quality. So what's the quality of your tone? A sound of definite pitch and vibration, accent or inflection, expressive of a mood or emotion. So as I'm talking and using my words, the way I say it matters. Style or manner of expression in speaking or writing, so all of that. Volume, the degree of loudness or the intensity of sound, the amount of substance occupying a particular volume. And I love this last one. A series of printed books bound typically in book form. So when we speak as women, we should speak volumes. We should speak books. That's what we should speak. Volumes and books. Everything that comes out of our mouth should be something that educates, that gives back to people. So don't think of volume in terms of how loud it is, but volume also, because again, it's metaphorical, it's figuratively, volume in terms of that, but also, are you speaking volumes? Are you speaking books that others can read or listen to, or take what you said and they take everything that you said, and it creates change or affects change in your life? That's how you amplify your voice, speaking volumes. Like my mother spoke volumes. She didn't have a high school education, but I promise you, she spoke volumes in my life. So it's not always about education. It's the power of the words that you say. Tone, we'll talk about that. So I heard a little bit about that. So I'll put it in there just for some context, but understand your natural tone. Again, my voice is deep. I'm okay with that. I embraced it. Adapt to the situation. So adjust your tone based on the context and audience. For example, use a warm, empathetic tone when discussing sensitive topics and a confident, authoritative tone when presenting important information. Express emotion. Use your tone to convey emotion. Variations in pitch and inflection can emphasize your points and keep the audience engaged. Practice modulation. Practice varying your tone to avoid sounding monotonous. Use different pitches and speeds to keep your speech interesting. So again, I'm demonstrating as we speak, like we have to think about this until it becomes just natural as we're speaking. Volume, breathing techniques. And when I say breathe, I don't mean just in a sense of the practice, the diaphragm and breathing to support your voice, but I mean breathe. Breathe. It's okay. So deep breaths from your diaphragm rather than shallow breaths from your chest, because we'll feel it in our chest, when you're just, can give your voice more power and stability. So when I say breathe, I mean breathe, let it go. And that's why I always start with the breathing exercises. Projection, learning to project your voice, focusing on sending your voice to the back. Where are you sending your voice? Again, metaphorically, literally, and figuratively. Where are you purposely, intentionally sending your voice? Who are you connecting with? Okay. So it helps, again, we know that the physical, it helps in speaking loudly without straining your voice, but we're looking at all areas of that posture. Now, I have a problem with that. Let me just be honest with that. Maintain good posture. Standing or sitting up straight allows your lungs to expand fully, giving your voice more power. So allow yourself to expand so that you can give yourself more power. Vocal warm-ups. Do the warm-ups before speaking engagements to prepare your voice. Whenever I do poetry, you'll see me in the corner somewhere whenever I have to do poetry. So if we ever get together and I do poetry, you'll see me doing this. because in my mind, I'm speaking the poem. So humming, lip trills, and gentle voice exercises can help. So again, figuratively, literally, okay, metaphorically, control. And this is the one that we as women, okay, learn to control your volume. I mean, you don't have to yell all the time. You know what? Some people say, oh, she's bossy, she's yelling. But practice speaking both softly and loudly to find a comfortable range that you can adjust as needed. So when you're in your secret space and it's chaos, control the volume. Find a comfortable place so you can adjust as needed. Avoid straining. Increase your volume by using your breath and diaphragm rather than straining your throat. Over time, this will help maintain vocal health and clarity. So when we're doing this again, metaphorically, literally, figuratively, are you practicing are you listening to your body as it's speaking to you? Are you listening to what it's saying and calming it down and, feeling, like I said, where am I? Is it my head? Is it my stomach? Where am I feeling that anxiety? And then am I avoiding straining myself? Am I learning to control myself? Am I doing vocal warm-ups? Maintaining my posture, projecting, and using breathing techniques. We've heard this. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words? Whew. What do you guys think about that?
Words can cut very deep.
Oh, yes. Especially how they're used.
Yes.
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 Liz, just to confirm, when we kind of wrap up, you're going to do some more Q&A, right?
Yes.
Sonia had a question, and we'll make sure that we get that answered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So think about that. That was an old adage. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words are very, very. So here are a bunch of words. Blessed, excited, reliable, bold, frisky, bright, open, cheerful, nosy, liberated, receptive, dynamic, admiration, words. So words, and it's really, when I think about it, they're just, you learn your alphabet, which is the most powerful thing that you can do as a child, is learn your alphabet. And then you learn how to take those words or those characters or symbols and you put them into a word. And then you got paragraphs and you got sentences and you got nouns and adjectives and verbs, but they are so powerful. Like these words on a page actually are very, very powerful. So we have to be careful how we treat words because again, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can kill, cut. They've started wars. Words can make you fall in love. My husband he sings. So when we were dating, he would sing to me and I was like, huh. So words are powerful and the way we use them are powerful. So think about that. Tenacious, love, sensitive, delighted, all these things that we put together into a PowerPoint presentation or we go somewhere to speak, but do we really think about word choice and the words that we're using? So understanding the power words, okay? They have power to inspire, motivate, heal, influence, connect, divide, and they evoke emotion. So we have to be very, very, very careful with our words. I'm going to pause there. What are you guys thinking? Looking at my time. Mom, I gotta rush through it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rush through it.
So I'm just really loving everything you're saying because amplifying our voices is also, it's not just our voice, but it's the words we use that are expressed in our voice. So it's so absolutely important.
Absolutely.
Vibing with you here. Liz. Loving it. Yeah.
Right.
And learning so much too at the same time. So it's
Good.
fantastic.
Good. So again, choose your words wisely. We talked about this, being mindful of your audience, using language. We talk about that. It aligns with your message. Consider the tone and delivery, strive for clarity and brevity, practice active listening, and consider your environment. The power of spoken word, you got to say it. You have to speak it. Speak it until you drown out all your hurt, self-doubt, negativity. Speak life. Speak it into existence and never let another judge the sound of your voice. Never do that. Never, never. But also, never underestimate the power of a whisper. Don't underestimate that. There are times that self-talk, when I'm talking to myself in those quiet tones and I'm whispering, oh my gosh. I tell my husband when I'm quiet, woo, that's when you better watch. Don't underestimate the power of whispering, of that quiet, still conversation that you have with yourself. If you're a believer like me in God, the higher power, whatever it is, take the time to still yourself, to calm yourself. Understand. Because when people whisper, you have to lean in, you have to get close. That's powerful. That's powerful. So don't underestimate that. We're almost done. Use your voice to speak so that your fears hesitate at the sound of your voice. Your voice is your identity. These are just quotes. It reveals everything about who you are, how you feel, what you stand for. The human voice is the most powerful, beautiful instrument of all, but it's also the most difficult to play. The message behind the words and the voice of heart. Your voice is your calling card. It's the first thing people hear, and it tells them everything about who you are. And then I have the source that I got that from. Today is a canvas he gave to create. So create your masterpiece, write your vision, paint the big picture, do not stare and wonder, create. And these are just words that I've created from my whatever. Release the power word in your business. What is it that you want your business to say? And again, think about the emotion that this words that I wrote here says. Who can measure the time it takes to a heart to heal? Who can measure its weight? Then he answers, I can. Think about what emotions that words say, put in just the right place. If you look at the word and don't dig deeper, then you'll never understand the depth, the breadth, the height of who I, you, we truly are. Dig deeper. So those are some of my quotes. Takeaways: your voice is powerful and unique. Overcome barriers to finding your voice. Words have the power to inspire, connect, and influence. Choose your words wisely and amplify your voice to make a difference. We're done. I think I did it in a time frame.
Oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, great. Liz, we are loving what you're saying. We're loving you as our colleague and sister. And I know there were some questions in the chat. Can we jump into some Q&A, Liz?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah.
I can see the chat now.
I was intrigued about your voice drills. And Sonia, you were too, I think. Yeah.
Lip trills. What are lip trills?
Lip trills.
So you're moving your lips. Show me again.
Yeah, you're just moving your lips.
Got it.
Yes, yes, exactly.
I think of them as like fluttering them.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to
Almost
do. Like,
Plumping without the filler, right?
And
Yes.
it just made my dogs bark.
see the power of that?
You know, the other thing I was going to say to you is an example when you talk about the power of whisper. That was the secret to Jackie Kennedy. She only spoke in whispers. And when you read any book about her, you listen to any interview she did when she was doing the thing around the White House, everybody always had to lean in because she was very deliberate and very careful about what she said.
Yeah, that's important when you whisper, because it causes people to, like I noticed, Kathleen, you leaned in when I started whispering. It causes you to get close and that level of intimacy, because those words you don't want everybody to hear. Those are specific to the person that you're talking to.
Nice. Great.
All right. Did I get all
So
the answers?
perfect.
Oh, I'm
And
loving the comments.
yeah. Oh, we're going to save that chat for you because there's a lot of really good stuff in here. Yes. So Liz, you're on a mission, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah. Tell us about your mission. because
So what?
you're also poetry and you're an
Mm,
artist and
yes,
you're a valuable coach and consultant advisor.
I
Tell us about
am.
the missions you're on.
I am. I'm gonna read this poem that I wrote actually for this, and then I'll tell you just a little bit. It says, so when we think about spitting, just think in poetry term, it means to speak poetry. So it says, I feel like spitting words, characters accumulating into adjectives and verbs, trying to drown out the sound, the only sound I've heard for days, gusting winds and turbulent waves. And it seemed they drowned out the sound of my own voice. And this cyclone of a storm has me spinning. And that's when I remember I'm on a potter's wheel. And although all these emotions I feel are real, I'm not spinning out of control. God's got me. So I spit words that heal my soul, allow words to make me whole as I hold on for dear life. I spit words like, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, or man shall not live by bread alone. Or as for me and my house, we'll serve the Lord. So I spit words amidst the cries. But when he spits, he opens my eyes, and his DNA mingles with clay, and now I see the word has enlightened me. So even when I'm bound, I'm free. So I speak peace. I spit words, simile and verbs, adjectives, nouns, and the sound of my voice is powerful. It's freedom. It's rejuvenating, reverberating, accumulating peace in the midst of this cyclone-like storm.
Wow, we're loving this. Excellent. Excellent.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
So what am I on a mission? I'm on a mission to just help people to do what we've done today, to really look at every part of your imagination, whether it be business, personal, and not just look at words for the face value, but to really dig deep into that and understand the power of who you are in your voice, whether again, it's business or personal or whatever it is, and amplify that. Because when you do and the world hears it, that's the most powerful. I think that's changing lives is the most powerful thing that you can do. It really is. And that's what I'm on a mission to do. So I teach small business. I'm teaching the class now. It's an 8-week cohort. I'm super excited about that. I do spoken word, keynote speaking. So that's me. That's what I'm on a mission to do.
Excellent. 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 So we would love, as we conclude, Liz, our biggest takeaways from our time with you, and perhaps even some visibility and acknowledgement. And then we'll wrap up. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay, Michaela McGee here. I would love to just share that the volume really spoke to me because that's something I'm currently learning in my current role, Liz. I just had an experience a week ago. And so I did some one-on-one with the supervisor, and she was just helping me make a connection between volume when things, get a little heavy. So thank you so much for covering this today. I definitely will implement some of the lip movement because I know things don't change overnight. And sometimes it may take a couple interactions or situations to capture the development. It doesn't always happen right away. So thank you so much for that insight, being that it's something that I'm experiencing now. And thank you so much for the beautiful words and your poetry that you just shared. It was so refreshing and energizing for me. And I hope to be able to attend like a future event where you're doing some spoken word so I can engage with that a little bit more. And thank you so much for the invite and the time today.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Who's up next? Your
And the
biggest
one
takeaway
about
and some appreciation. Yeah, thank you.
sticks and stones may break my bones. I have through some other speaker who has given me the inspiration to find the right word for specifically what I want to say. I go to Word Hippo all the time
Ooh.
and look up to see what does that mean? What does that mean? Is that really where I want to go? And so your word, the vision, the image that you had of all the different words, I'm like, yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Nice.
Beautiful, Liz. You covered so many great points. And it truly is one of those things you have to listen to how someone receives a word. You have no intention of creating harm or
Right.
mistrust with, and yet you can see in them that they hear it completely different than you are
That's true.
offering it.
That's
And
true.
to be able to step back and say, tell me what that makes you feel is
Mm,
so important, because you can have said something completely out of
so
context for
true.
how they received it, and you have no idea what harm you have created. So,
That's a
yeah,
very good point. Very good point.
thank you.
Yes. Well, Liz, thank you. Thank you. I am so inspired and I feel empowered to amplify my voice as a result of our program today. And I can really see that we can do some workshops as part of our council for each of you as esteemed faculty members. We want to even promote you, showcase you, and highlight you even more. So let's think about some programs that we can feature you on, maybe little workshops, a
Yeah,
little bit more. Today was just a little taste test, and can't wait for more amplification. How's that?
super excited.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So, very, very nice. And as we complete, Liz, where's the best place that people can connect with you?
Probably email. I don't know if I put it on there. If I can, I can put it in the chat.
Would you?
You just
Yes.
drop it in the chat, my email. Yeah, just drop it in the chat. That's probably the
Wonderful.
best way.
And of course, connect with you on LinkedIn as
Of course,
well and
of course.
Facebook. Yep.
Yes.
Very nice. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Well, what a terrific program. So thrilled, Liz. Thank you very much. Just loved every second of our time together. Thank you. And so love that we love bookends in our women's coaching and consulting council. How are we starting and how are we completing? So thinking about putting a bookend of your biggest takeaway and your biggest insight. So we know many of you are going to be watching the replay. And so we love social activation. So when you get the replay post on LinkedIn and Facebook, feel free, put a comment in. We love that. And so in our council, as we complete our time here, one of our biggest mottos is we always have awesome things, fabulous things to invite people to. We are the consummate hostesses. So come join us on our Saturday morning Women's Success Circle. We are now this Saturday on let me take a look, our 106th consecutive Saturday. Woo! So come join us. The topic is different. Susan Younger was our host 2 weeks ago. It was a gorgeous conversation, great feedback. We were all enlivened as a result of our time with you, Susan. Thank you. Thank you. And then, of course, next Thursday, boy, we've got another fabulous program. Sheila Anderson, Kathy Dirksen are talking about how to reinvent yourself, reinvention success strategies. It is going to be a gorgeous program. So put it in your calendar, and the link will be on C-Suite Network Events tab, and you'll be getting social posts as well. So be sure to join us next Thursday for another great program. Okay, so with that, come join us. If you're a coach, consultant, women's trusted advisor, if you're a thought leader, speaker, author, come join us. We want to promote you, showcase you, and highlight you and bring you into our business sisterhood. We give you a platform to rise and shine and amplify your voice. Come check out our YouTube channel. We are so proud of what we're doing. Another way to showcase and promote you. And you can set up a time with me over Calendly. Let's talk about where you're going this year and how we in our council can partner with you and make the ride, the journey even more enjoyable. So with that, thank you so much. What a great program. Loved every second of it. Big shout out again to you, Liz. Fabulous program. And we know everyone watching the replay is going to just gobble it up and love it. So thank you. Thank you. Very nice. Bye for now, everyone.